Did the Bible talk about aliens? Did the ancients meet the aliens? And I know that may sound like an odd couple of questions, and of course there are conspiracy theories about things like the pyramids being built or made by aliens. But in this video I'm going to be looking into the facts about the ancients and looking at any evidence that we can find that hopefully should be able to say one way or another whether the ancients met the aliens, and whether there's any evidence in the Christian Holy Bible that suggests anything about UFOs, aliens, godlike creatures, or extraterrestrials. And, spoiler alert, yes, there's loads of stuff. So click that like button right now, subscribe and ding that bell to turn on notifications, comment down below who you think built the pyramids and how, and let's get on with the video because it's all coming up right after this. Hello and welcome back to Real Wizardry. Yes, look, I know I've got a t-shirt of it and everything. Awesome. I'm Neil, I'm going to be your magical host, and for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that aliens are real. Sometimes, maybe, if you disagree, that's fine, but the evidence is pretty clear by the end of this video, hopefully, and my aim is that you will, at the very least, allow the possibility not only that aliens exist, but also that they have visited Earth and visited more than once. The pyramids of ancient Egypt are known as one of the wonders of the world. Even today, nobody really knows how they were built. Now, don't get me wrong, we know exactly how they could have been built, but all of these theories have been pretty much discounted. We know, for example, that the Egyptians used sleds that were pulled by slaves, and they didn't use wheels, and that by wetting the sand ahead of the sled, the friction of the sand reduces by about 50%. This would certainly have helped, but such rudimentary things as wheels didn't exist at the time of the pyramids, believe it or not. We also know that to get a ramp at a shallow enough incline to make the pyramids and get to the top, the ramp itself would need to have been greater in mass than the pyramid that it was building, and yet no evidence of such a ramp exists.
Super genius!
We know that the stones that were made for the pyramid fit so perfectly together that, in some cases, the stones appear almost welded. We know that there is so little space between some of the stones that even a piece of paper won't slide down the side. We know too that slaves did not build the pyramids. It would have taken far too much skill, and we also know that these master builders were venerated and given a rich man's burial. We also know that the Great Pyramid of Giza contains around 2 million stones, which means that in order to get these stones to make the pyramid, we need to get one laid every 2.5 minutes without a break, day and night, for around 10 years. We know that some of the stones were floated on rafts around 1,000 kilometres up the Nile against the flow of the water. We know that some stones were carved from granite, which contains so much quartz and is therefore so hard that using their primitive tools, they'd only be able to get through about 5 millimetres per hour of solid smashing with rocks against them, and yet the whole pyramid is lined with them. Now, all of this stuff we know, but we still don't know what the pyramids were built for. Why did the ancients go to such incredible lengths to build such massive structures? Each stone of the Great Pyramid of Giza can easily be considered a boulder, weighing in at around 2.5 tons each. That makes the total weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza, just one pyramid, about 5 million tons. And yet we still don't know how they did it. Today we wouldn't be able to construct the same thing without phenomenal budgets, millions of pounds of heavy plant machinery, a huge workforce and a significant amount of time. And even then, it would be incredibly hard to build it exactly as it was built. How did the ancients do it when they didn't even have a wheel?
Oh my god, you're so stupid! Sir Isaac Newton invented gravity in 1666, so the pyramids were built before the gravity was invented. The stones wouldn't have weighed anything.
Okay, but seriously, Newton didn't invent gravity, he discovered it. Gravity has always been here. Those stones would have been just as heavy back then as they are now. In fact, they would have even been heavier, because they've been sandblasted for thousands of years and worn away. So ignoring the wondrous tale of the pyramids just for a moment, and the perhaps even weirder underwater pyramids, Google it, it's a thing, that are dotted around the Bermuda Triangle. Seriously, how would the ancients lay blocks like that with such accuracy underwater? Now, ignoring all of that, you're here to find out about the Bible, right? So have you heard of Ezekiel? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. His gospel is surprisingly odd when you think about it. Now, a small history lesson? No, don't turn the video off. This is actually interesting. The term Bible comes from the Latin biblio, which for those of you who studied Latin-based languages like Italian, Spanish, German, French, and Latin, you'll recognise biblioteca or bibliotech, depending on which language you know. Bible, therefore, literally means a collection of books. The Bible isn't a book, or at least it's only a book in as much as Wikipedia is an article. The Holy Bible is a collection of books. But here's the rub. Not all Bibles were created equal. In 325 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine called for a council in the Bithynian city of Nicaea in what is now called Turkey. The Council of Nicaea had one single purpose: to formulate a single version of the truth. You see, up until this point, the Holy Bible just didn't exist. Lots of Gospels existed, written by various different factions or followers of Jesus Christ. Many of these Gospels came from the disciples and the followers of those disciples, but others came from other records, followers, prophets, sages, people like that. Constantine noticed that disagreement between religious teachings were beginning to cause violence. What a shock, that's never happened before. So all of this violence was happening against his people and amongst his people, and so he called the various religious leaders together to compile a single version of the Holy Scripture. So think of this as a bit of an editorial board of a publishing house, all parties having their own self-interest and fighting over what's included and what's removed or barred from entry. Kind of like an editorial meeting of a newspaper, I suppose. Anything that didn't conform to the central narrative was just removed. And this meant that some parts of the scriptures just didn't go in. So the Gospel of Mary Magdalene was removed entirely, perhaps most famously, as were the Gnostics and the Gospel of Jesus Christ as a child. The latter told of how Jesus Christ had a toy stolen from him when he was young, and rather than telling his parents, he made the child who stole it blind. Divine retribution indeed. One of the scriptures that was included was the Gospel of Ezekiel, which is strange because this Council of Nicaea suggests a consensus view of the way that the Bible should be portrayed, and yet it's still included. And it's strange because it appears, to modern reading anyway, as though Ezekiel saw space aliens. So let me just read some of what was written and you can make up your own mind. In the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the exiles by the Chebar Canal, the heavens were opened, and I saw divisions of God. Divisions of God is a strange term, but basically that means a number of the same divine being. But let's move on. As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness around it, and fire flashing forth continually, and in the midst of the fire, as it were, gleaming metal. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a spaceship to me, and a spaceship that throws up a stormy wind and a great cloud. The propulsion of this aircraft caused brightness around it, a fire flashing forth continually. Ezekiel would have known what metal was, and recognising it would be easy enough. But recognising it flying out of the sky, he'd have been a bit confused by it for sure. Metal doesn't fly, it falls. Metal can't fly, can it? Obviously nowadays we know how to make heavier than air flight using aerodynamics, but a spaceship hits the same mark. So in the Bible itself, the modern, edited and some might say verified consensus version of the Holy Christian Bible, the Christian Church has actually sanctioned the documentation of what could be interpreted as an alien encounter. Ezekiel then talks about what he interprets as the 4 faces of God. These beings have multiple heads, wings, and they can fly. They communicate by entering into Ezekiel, which could be through a form of telepathy. He mentions that the beings emerge from the metal wheels. So it suggests to me that yes, the Holy Christian Bible does mention aliens. Not only that, but the Council of Nicaea verified the account, and the religious leaders agreed to enter it into the unified Bible. So, with the curiosities surrounding the pyramids, coupled with the accounts of Ezekiel, it really does beg the question, is there a God? And if so, are we alone in the universe, or is that multifaceted God merely just a race of super advanced beings that have been here before and may have never left? If you like this video, please click the like button. It tells YouTube that it was a good video and more people should see it. Please subscribe for more of this kind of thing. And if you do, ding that bell button to be notified of next time I go live or upload anything. And comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. If you'd like some free magical stuff, check out the links down below in the description and visit bigbundlegiveaway.com/magic. A massive thanks to these amazing, wonderful people who are my members and patrons, and they help me out every single month. I give stuff away to these awesome people, and only members and patrons are entered into my giveaways nowadays. So if you want to be one of these people, head on down to the links in the description. I'll be back next week with some more magical awesomeness, and I'll also be live this weekend. So if you're free, pop along for more real wizardry. Yeah, real wizardry. But until next time, as always,
Stay magical.